أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you everyone for being on time. Could I just ask if you can hear me okay, could you please raise your hands? Okay, perfect. Jazakallah. That's fine. You can put your hands down now. So we're going to start off today's class as we usually do. So we are starting with the introductory prayers, which we use for learning and teaching the Holy Quran. So I'm going to select a student. Could you raise your hand if you weren't picked in yesterday's class to say anything? So I have N6116. Assalamualaikum, N6116.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam. So could I ask you to recite this second prayer? Can you see it okay on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So if you can recite this prayer over here, please.
A'udzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi zidni ilma.
Jazakallah. And what chapter of the Holy Quran has this prayer been taken from?
So it's chapter 115.
Over here.
In chapter Taha.
Yes, so Surah Taha. Excellent, Jazakallah. And could you read the translation for me as well?
O my Lord, increase me in knowledge.
Excellent, Jazakallah. Thank you very much. So I'm just going to put you on mute. So these prayers, we have 5 of them, and on each day, on each weekday, we'll inshallah recite one of them. So by the end of the course, inshallah, you'll have memorized all of these prayers. So I'm going to select a different student. If you can just remind the rest of the class what was the content that we studied yesterday. So if I can have a student from Atfal put their hand up. So I have A5121. Assalamualaikum. A5121.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam. So were you present in yesterday's class?
No.
You weren't. Okay. Not to worry then. You were. Could you tell us then what rule did we learn about in yesterday's class with your different teacher?
I forgot.
You forgot. Okay, not to worry. Any other students can remind us what we learnt about yesterday? Okay, A5104, Assalamualaikum. Can you tell us what we learnt yesterday?
Sangam,
Walaikum.
yes, we learned that we can't prolong Dhamma Fatah or Kasra for more than 1 second.
Excellent, brilliant, Jazakallah. So this is basically just a summary sheet of the 3 rules that we looked at yesterday. And as A5104 rightly said, we basically looked at the 3 basic strokes of Fatha, Kasra, and Dhamma. And we learnt that we only prolong it for 1 second, no more than that. So A5104, stay with me. I'm just going to put you on mute for a second, but I'll unmute you again in a moment. What we are going to do today is we're going to move forward with 2 different rules, which I think most of you will be familiar with anyway, but we are going to revisit them just for revision purposes because it's part of these 20 common errors that we come across when reciting the Quran. Just before we move on to that, so there was a student net yesterday, I believe it was N6125, who had an issue with being in the wrong group. So just to let you know, we have forwarded that on to the head teacher, and inshallah that will be sorted very soon. So getting back to the lesson, so we are looking at we also looked at, so before we move on, we also looked at vertical fatha, vertical kasra, and inverse dhamma. And we learnt that we prolong it for only 2 seconds, no more than that, and no less than that. So hopefully those 2 rules are quite clear to you. Let's move on. And if you remember, we did some recitational practice from Surah Al-Duha and also from Surah Quraysh, just to practice applying those two rules. So next we are looking at the first part of our lesson, which will be on huruful madda, or otherwise known as letters of prolongation. So just to make it easier whilst explaining, I'm going to call them the madda letters. Can I first have a hand up for anyone that's come across this term and can maybe explain what a letter of prolongation is? What is a madda letter? So we have N6120, if I can find you. Yeah. Okay, N6120, could you tell us what you know about huruf al-madda?
It's basically when you have to prolong it for 2 seconds if it's a letter of elongation after it.
Excellent. And do you know which 3 letters are the madda letters?
Is it alif,
Mm-hmm.
waw,
Yeah.
and
Sorry,
ya?
I did. Yeah, excellent. Yes, so alif, waw, and ya. And do you know what's specific to 2 of the letters that might not happen on one of them? So I'll give you a clue. So alif doesn't have this, but waw and ya would have this. It's a specific sign that it would carry.
I'm not sure.
Not sure, no worries. So we'll come to that when we explain the rule, but Jazakallah, I'm glad you understood the rule before we start it, so well done. So let's take a look at the first of these 3 madda letters. So as you can see, we have alif over here. I'm just going to get my highlighter. So we have alif, and we're basically going to understand how to recognize that this is a madda letter. And quite simply, what you have to look out for is to see what stroke is on the previous letter. So you can see over here that this is the letter ya, which is joined to the alif, and the ya carries the stroke of fatha. And again over here, we have alif, and the lam, which comes before it, carries the stroke of fatha. Again over here, we have the alif and then the lam with the fatha, exactly the same in this example. And finally over here, we have the alif and the stroke of fatha is on the ha, which comes before it. So basically, we can recognize that we have the alif madda. So this letter of prolongation, we recognize it because the letter before will carry the stroke of fatha. Can you raise your hand if that makes sense to you? Is that quite straightforward? So quite a few of you have raised your hand, so that makes sense, I believe. So I'm going to pick, if I come back to A5104, and he can help me recite this line that's highlighted. Okay, A5104, could you please recite?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إياك لا ريب إلا ألا حال.
Excellent, Jazakallah, beautifully recited. And as you can all hopefully see, he correctly prolonged the alif madda for the right amount of time. So that's just 2 seconds that we're prolonging. Iyaka la rayba illa alla hala. So just 2 seconds on the alif madda. Moving on to the next one, we are moving to the second letter of prolongation. So the second of the madda letters. We are this time looking at waw. And what you'll see is the third letter, which I believe it was N6120 mentioned. So we have alif, waw, and ya. And what's particular about the waw and the ya is that they will carry the sign of sukoon or jazm. So we are looking here at waw with the sukoon, which we call waw sakin. So beginning with waw sakin over here, the way that we recognize that this is a madda letter is because the letter before is carrying the sign, the stroke of dhamma. Again, we have waw sakin, and it is carrying the stroke of dhamma on the letter before. Again, waw sakin highlighted, and ra is carrying the stroke of dhamma. Exactly the same, waw sakin with the noon carrying the dhamma. waw sakin with the ra carrying the dhamma stroke. So hopefully again that is quite straightforward to you. So with fatha, we know that the letter before will carry the stroke of fatha in order for it to be an alif madda. In this example, waw sakin, we know this is a waw madda because the letter before is carrying the stroke of dhamma. So this time I'd like a student from Nasirat who hasn't been picked yesterday, if you could please raise your hand so I can select you to recite this page. So I think we've had N6132, N6102 I think we'll have. Okay, Assalamualaikum. N6102? Assalamualaikum. So do you understand the rule first of all so far?
Yes.
Yeah, excellent. So could you please recite for me, starting with the first one over here, if you can recite the line for me?
Go.
A little bit longer. So remember, we're prolonging for 2 seconds with these madda letters.
Go.
Well done. Next one.
Amanu.
Well done. So over here, if you remember from yesterday, what do we call this stroke on the alif?
A vertical fatha.
Excellent. And how long are we prolonging for?
2 seconds.
Well done. So we've got a madda letter, waw madda, and we've got vertical fatha. So it's important to give equal time of 2 seconds on both of those. Next one.
Zaruf.
Well done. And the next one.
Kanu.
And the next one.
Kafaru.
Excellent. So over here in this word, can you tell me, we've got the waw madda here, but we've also got an example of another madda letter. Could you tell me what that is? So which other letter are we prolonging for 2 seconds and why?
The waw.
So we're doing waw, yep, we've done waw, but apart from that, there's another madda letter in this example. So read it aloud to yourself again and think about which other letter you're giving 2 seconds to.
Is it the alif?
Alif, excellent. And how can we recognize that this is a madda letter? What do we look at in the letter before it?
The fatha.
Excellent. So we're looking at the stroke of fatha, which helps us recognize that this is alif madda. Well done. And the last, you read the last one, didn't you? Yeah, you did. Excellent. Okay, well done. Jazakillah. So you are N6102, yes?
Yes.
Brilliant. Jazakillah. So I'll just put you on mute. Just a quick reminder again, there are a couple of students that are still using their personal names in their ID. So if you go back to the email you should have received, I believe from the National Quran department, you should be able to find your personal ID. So if you're Nasirat, it will be N followed by 4 numbers. And if you're from the Atfal, then it's exactly the same except it starts with an A. So there are a couple of students, Quratul Ahmed, Seher Usman. There are a few students, Manahil Butt as well. If you can please go back to that email and find your personal ID. Jazakallah. Okay, so moving on to the final of the 3 madda letters. Again, very straightforward and exactly the same as the previous 2 examples. We are looking now at ya madda. So again, the ya is carrying the sukoon, so we call it ya sakin. And the way that we recognize that this is a letter of prolongation or a madda letter is that we look at the letter before and it carries the stroke of kasra this time. So we see here ya sakin, and before it we have the letter ha and it carries a kasra. Ya sakin again, alif carries the kasra. Ya sakin again, and this time the lam is carrying the kasra, and this ya sakin is preceded by the ra with a kasra, and again ya sakin here, and it's joined to the ba, which carries a kasra. So in all of these examples, the way that we recognize the ya madda, we look at the stroke before, and we see that it's a kasra. So this time a student from Atfal, please, to recite this final line. So let's have A5103. Okay, A5103, could you please recite the following line?
Yes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يوهي يسر لي أمري ربي.
Excellent, Jazakallah. That was very well recited. One point that I would point out, so over here on the meme, no sort of pausing on it. So just amri. I know it can happen when you're sort of in the tune, but no pausing on the meme. Okay?
Okay, Zahra.
Okay. Could you just have a go once more at this example?
أمري.
Excellent. Yeah, perfect. Jazakumullah. So thank you. MashaAllah, so far very well recited by all the students that we've had, so well done. It just shows that you've all, I'm sure, mastered the basics. This is just a good point of revision for us all. So that is our madda letters done, our letters of prolongation. So we've done alif madda, waw madda, and ya madda, and we've understood that to recognize them, we look at the stroke before. If it's alif madda, we're looking for a fatha. If it's waw madda, we're looking for a dhamma on the letter before. And if it's ya madda, we're looking for a kasra. So that is the first rule done. We're going to move to the second rule, which isn't in this slide as such, but we've sort of chosen to include it because it will come up in future lessons. So we thought we'd tackle it now. Rather than later, because it is related to the letters of prolongation. So this time we are looking at the haruf al-lin, which are the lean letters, or we call them the letters of ease. So this page, which I've got in front of me at the moment, this is taken from the book that we're working with for pretty much all of the course. This is where most of our content comes from. And we are basically going to focus on the examples that we've been given here. So as I mentioned, lean means to ease or soften, and we call these haruf al-lin, letters of ease. And they're basically called that because the way that we pronounce it is a very soft, rounded way, which will become clear from the examples that we look at. Again, I'm sure all of you have come across this and know how to recite it in your Quran recitation. It's just, again, so we can revisit the rule and have a better understanding of its explanation. So with the lean letters, this time we are looking at two letters in particular. So we have a waw sakin over here and a ya sakin. Just ignore this over here. This is a mistake. So that should say ya. So the two letters are waw and ya sakin. And what we are basically, the way that we recognize it is, again, we look at the stroke before, and the stroke which is on the letter before will carry the sign of the stroke of fatha. So you can see in these examples, which have been taken from the Holy Quran, that they have the waw or the ya sakin, and they are preceded, or they have a stroke of fatha on the letter before. So we can see in the first one, awhayna, and we have two examples of the lean letters here. We have, first of all, in the first part, O, and you can see that the way we recite it is very soft, O. We are sort of rounding it. It's very soft joining of the two letters. And again, we see this is a waw sakin, and before it, we have a fatha. Then we have an example of the second lean letter, ya sakin. By the way, I'm saying ya sakin because this is carrying a sukoon or jazm, so just in case that's not clear to anyone, a letter which carries the sukoon or the jazm, we call it a sakin letter. So ya sakin and waw sakin, again, preceded by the fatha on the letter before. So reading that, awhayna, so we have two lean letters in this example. I'd like a student from Nasrat this time to raise their hand. That wasn't picked yesterday, preferably, just so we can have, everyone can have an opportunity to say something. So we have N6129. Okay, N6129. So my question for you is, in this example, let me just unhighlight some of these. So in this example over here, in this word, we've got two examples of lean letters. Can you tell me where we have an example of a madda letter? Assalamu alaikum, N6129.
Yeah.
Do you understand the question?
No.
No? Okay, not to worry, don't worry. Okay, so let me ask you this then. Over here, we have the noon, yes?
Yeah.
Noon. And what letter is it joined to over here?
Is it Alif?
Alif, excellent. So do you know how many seconds we're going to read this for?
2.
2 seconds, well done. Do you know why we would read it for 2 seconds? What's the rule that we're looking at here?
To prolong it.
Excellent, yeah. So the alif here is an alif madda and we are prolonging for 2 seconds. So looking at this one over here, just this word, the first 2 letters, how would you read this?
Oh.
Oh, excellent. And how long are you prolonging for?
2 seconds.
2 seconds, brilliant. Do you know what we call this? What this waw sakin, what do we call this?
I don't know.
You don't know. No worries, that's fine. So we call this a lean letter, okay? And a lean letter, it is a letter of ease. That's just the term that we use for it. But if you just remember, waw sakin or ya sakin, and before it we have a letter which has a fatha. 2 seconds we're going to prolong it for, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Jazakillah. Okay, can I have another student? This time from Atfal, please. A5117. Okay. Okay, A5117. Do you understand the rule so far?
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Do you understand the rule so far?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. So in this example, can you tell me what's happening over here and over here?
That the wow is the noise of the wow is how the skin is short and is the noise is not coming this much.
So
And
it's
just
going to be quite the way that we blend it, it's an easy rounded sound. So how and lay. What do we call these two? So we've got ya sakin and waw sakin. What do we call these two letters?
hurfil
Huruf lean. Excellent. So these are the lean letters. And could you read this word for me?
Yes. Hawlaini.
Excellent. Well done. So what do we have to be careful of over here?
That you're not supposed to make noon go. Not supposed to stretch the noon sound.
Yeah, exactly. So how many seconds do we read it for?
1 second.
Excellent. Well done. And in the final example, again, how are we going to read this word?
Yawmaini.
Excellent. And again, what we're looking out for on the noon?
Not stretching more than 1 second.
Brilliant. Well done. And what do we call this rule altogether? What are these letters that we call again?
Hello?
So what do we call these letters? Are they madda letters or are they lean letters?
Lean letters.
Excellent. Well done, Jazakallah. Very well done and very well explained. So hopefully that's clear to everyone. If you have any questions, could you please raise your hand in case you didn't understand? N6103. So if you don't understand, put your hands up, because some of you have your hands up from before. Okay, that's fine. N6129 and N6132. You definitely still don't understand? Let me just unmute you. So N6129, do you understand the rule, or would you like me to explain it again?
Can you explain it again?
Yeah, sure. So did you understand the rule before this when we looked at the madda letters? Was that clear to you? or do you want me to go over it again?
Over again, please.
Okay, no worries. So we looked at the madda letters, and basically you need to know that there are three madda letters, three letters of prolongation: alif, waw, and ya. Is that
Yeah.
clear? Three letters, yep. And we're basically going to prolong them for 2 seconds. Okay, so iyyaka la rayba illa alla hala. 2 seconds wherever you see the grey box highlighted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and basically what I was just explaining is the way that you recognize it. Alif madda you recognize because the letter before has a fatha on it. Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
always in alif madda, the letter before will have the stroke of fatha. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. The next example, the second of the three letters is waw, which carries a sukoon, so we call it waw sakin. And again, 2 second prolongation, and the way we recognize it is the letter before will carry the stroke of dhamma. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so have a go at reading this word for me.
Manu.
Excellent. So what you've done is you've prolonged here because it's vertical fatha, and you've prolonged here because this is a madda letter, a letter of prolongation. Well done. And the last example is the third of the three letters, which is ya sakin. And the way that we recognize that this is a madda letter is we have the ya with the sukoon sign, and before it, the letter carries the kasra or the zir, if you're used to saying that. So again, you see here, ya sakin, and before it, what's this letter here?
Qaf.
Not qaf, this is a ha, ha. This is the letter ha, and underneath it, do you know what we call this stroke here? Begins with a K.
Kasra.
Kasra, excellent. So zir or kasra. And what are you going to do when you join these two letters together? How long are you going to read them for?
2.
2 seconds, excellent. And again, in this example, we have the lam, and it's joined to the ya sakin. This ya here, it's a letter of prolongation, so we're going to make it long for 2 seconds. So read this word for me.
Yassiruli.
So just this one over here, this is a jazm or a sukoon. So you're confusing it with this one here, which is a dhamma. But to find a dhamma, it's got a bit of a circle. Can you see there's a bit of white inside of that? It looks a bit like an apostrophe. That's the dhamma, and that's different to this smaller sign, which is the sukoon. Okay? So we are going to read this as yassirli. Not yassiruli, because this is a sukoon. Yassirli. Okay?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Does that kind of make sense? So just remember there are three letters of prolongation, alif, waw, and ya, and you have to pay attention to the stroke which comes on the letter before it. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. And for the second rule, it was a little bit different, but it's similar because you're still prolonging for 2 seconds. These were the lean letters. So the two letters that we were looking at is ya with a sukoon and waw with a sukoon. And the letter carries the stroke of fatha before it. And when we join it, it's for 2 seconds. So, awhayna. Can you read this one for me?
Hawlaini.
Excellent. How long are you prolonging this and this for? How many seconds?
1.
Not 1 second, because it's a lean letter, so we read it for 2 seconds. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Jazakallah. I'm just going to put you on mute. So don't worry too much if the actual names are confusing you. So don't worry if you can't remember madda and lean. It's just to help with the explanation. Just remember that they are different ways of prolonging. So it's alif, waw, and ya with the haruf madda, the madda letters, and waw and ya sakin with the lean letters. If you can remember that, then you should be okay, inshallah. So we are going to move on now to do a bit of practice. First, I'm just going to show you a few examples of this rule of huruful leen. So this is from chapter, sorry, I can't remember the chapter, part 29, sorry, and this is Surah Al-Mulk. And during this course, we're going to be working a lot from part 29 of the Holy Quran. So these are just two examples which I found in this surah, which are examples of the leen letters being present. So we have over here ya sakin, and before the ya, we have the letter ta, which carries the stroke of fatha. So when we read it, it will be karrataini. This tai, that is an example of a leen letter. And we are prolonging for 2 seconds. Again, over here, we have the ya sakin in the middle, and the letter before has the stroke of fatha. So we are prolonging for 2 seconds, and it will be a leen letter, ilayka. So hopefully that's clear. And one other example, well, a few more, are in the first chapter of the Holy Quran in Surah Fatiha. So in this line, we see Maliki Yawmiddin. This is an example of a leen letter, waw sakin. Before the waw, we have the ya, which has the stroke of fatha. So we're prolonging for 2 seconds, Yawmiddin. And another example is over here, alayhim. We have the ya sakin, and before it we have the lam, which has the stroke of fatha. So that is a summary of the 2 rules that we've properly covered today. I'm going to ask a few students now to recite because we haven't really done much of general Quran recitation. So I'm going to ask a few students to start reciting to see how you're applying the rules that we've covered so far. So this time I would like to have a student from Atfal again who hasn't read yet today or yesterday. Let's have A5109. One second. Okay. Okay, Assalamualaikum. A5109?
Yes.
Okay. Can you see the screen okay?
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So can you start reciting from the beginning of Surah Al-Mulk from Tabarakalladhi up until with Bismillah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير.
Jazakallah. So just stop there. So can you read again just this part that I've highlighted?
Tabarakalladzi.
Excellent, well done. So I think what you did beforehand was you put a bit too much time on this lam. So remember this lam, which stroke is it carrying on top of it? What's this stroke called? Do you know what the name of this stroke is on the lam? What do we call it? It begins with an F.
Shadda.
So that's the shadda over there, but above that, what's this one, this diagonal line?
Fatha.
Excellent, well done. And how many seconds do we read on a basic fatha stroke?
1 second.
Brilliant, so just 1 second there. What about over here? How many seconds do we do on here, on the bar?
Isn't it 2 seconds?
Yep, and what do we call the stroke that's on there? Vertical fatha. Yeah, brilliant. And we have, so over here, we've got a ya, and it's got a sukoon on it. And what's the letter before?
Z.
Dhal, so we call it a dhal. And what's underneath it? What do we call this stroke?
Kasra.
Excellent. So when we join these two together, how long do we prolong for?
2 seconds.
2 seconds. And what do we call this ya then? Because it's a letter of prolongation, what do we call it?
Rufa illat.
Ya madda. Okay, so we have alif madda, waw madda, and ya madda. This is an example of ya madda because it's stretching the sound for 2 seconds. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good. I highlighted this over here because again, when you were reading, this was more than 1 second. So if you remember, what's the stroke on this ya over here?
Fatah.
Yep. I think your sister's doing a good job of helping you. And how many seconds do we do on a fatha?
1 second.
1 second. Well done. So again, this was a little bit too long. So when we read it, biyadihi, all of these letters here, they've got the basic stroke of kasra, fatha, kasra, kasra. So all of them are going to be the same amount of time. Biyadihi. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, great. Again, so your major mistakes, it was just making it a bit longer than it needed to be. So this one that I highlighted here and here and here, it's just because there were more than 1 second. Okay? So what you just need to make sure is looking at the very first 3 rules that we looked at, fatha, kasra, and dhamma, just 1 second and no more than that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. So let's try from the next line from over here. So just in case you didn't know, when you're starting, just read it as alladhi. We're going to revisit this rule later, but when you start this verse, start with alladhi, okay?
Allazi zi halakal ma'u wal hayata liyabluwakum aw ayyukum ahsanu amal wa huwal azizul ghafur.
Okay, well done. That was good again, but again, you can see that like in the first line, the only things that I've really highlighted is when you read it longer than it had to be. So you can see here, you read it as alladhi, but because we just have a fatha on this lam, it's just going to be 1 second. So alladhi, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Why are we going to make it longer over here? What's special about this?
Isn't it because of the ya?
Excellent. Yeah, so we've got ya madda over here, so it's going to be for 2 seconds. Over here as well, these 3 letters, khalaqa, 1 second each. Okay, so just try again up to here from the start.
Allazi halaka.
Well done. So just 1 second. Alladhi khalaqa. Carrying on then. So what we had over here, this meme and this waw, do you know what this is an example of? This is the second rule that we talked about in today's class. Do you know what we would call it? If I give you a clue, it begins with L.
Lean.
Lean. Excellent. So this is the letter of ease. We've got the waw with a sukoon, and before it the meme has got the stroke of fatha. So when we join it together, it's going to be a very soft, rounded sound. So it will be khalaqal mauta. Mauta. Can you read that for me from khalaqa?
Halakal mauta.
Excellent. Khalaqal mauta. And again, this is 2 seconds. And then wal hayata. Again, the ta was a little bit longer than 1 second, which is why I highlighted it. And over here, I think the ya was a little bit longer than 1 second. So wal hayata liyabluwakum ayyukum. Okay, not ayyukum, just ayyukum. Can you read that word for me?
Ayyukum.
Excellent. And over here, again, the noon was a bit longer. Remember, it's just a dhamma on the noon. So, ayyukum ahsanu amala. So, ahsanu, just 1 second on the dhamma. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, brilliant. So the last thing that I highlighted, we're going to come to this. This is lesson number 2. It's about how to pause correctly when you stop in your recitation. So over here, you've seen the little ta, and correctly you made a pause here to catch your breath. What you see here is the lam, and it carries something which we call the fathatain. And we're going to come to this later, but basically just need to know that when we stop here, it's going to become amala. I think you said amal, which would have been fine if it was just a lam at the end without the alif, but it's amala when we're pausing, okay?
Okay.
So we're going to read Ayyukum ahsanu amala. And then, did you read to the end of the verse? I think you did, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, no worries. So you're basically, it's good, quite fluent recitation. The thing that you need to really pay attention to is how long you're giving to the basic strokes. Okay? Okay, Jazakallah. And just remind me again of your ID.
A.
A5109, isn't it? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. Okay, Jazakallah. So keep working on it, keep revisiting this rule, because there's a reason why it's one of the most common errors, because it's most commonly made in the recitation. And it's really important to avoid that, because we don't want to be changing the meaning of any of the words of the Holy Quran. So that's why it's important to know how long to prolong the different strokes and the madda letters and the lean letters. So if you can fix this now, then you'll be avoiding big mistakes later on in your recitation. Okie doke. So I think we have maybe time for one more student, this time from Nasirat, who wasn't picked today or yesterday. If you can raise your hand and I can give you a chance. So N6132. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Assalamualaikum. N6132. Oh, sorry, I think I've chosen you already, haven't I?
Yeah.
Okay, no worries.
What?
Let me just.
She said N6133.
Okay, so you've already read today. So anyone else that's not been picked today or yesterday, let's try. We've had N6129 as well. N6134. Let's give you a chance. Okay, Assalamualaikum. N6134.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum. So we are going to carry on from where your classmate left off. So could you please start reciting for me from Alladhi up until this verse over here? Okay?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alladhi khalaqo sab'a samawatin tibaqo ma tara fi kiromani minta tafarut far til basara hal taro min futur.
Jazakallah. That was a good attempt. Good first attempt. Can I ask how old you are? What's your age?
9.
9. Okay, not to worry. So that was a good first attempt at recitation. Again, similar to the previous student. So I've highlighted basically where you've read it for a little bit longer than it needs to be. So you can see, for example, here, you've prolonged the lam more than 1 second. Do you know what the name of the stroke is on the lam here? This one over here. Do you know what we call it? Fatha? Excellent, yeah. And how many seconds do we prolong on just a normal fatha stroke?
1 second.
1 second. Excellent. So when you're reading, you're going to read it as alladhi. Okay? Just 1 second on the lam. Alladhi. Can
Okay.
you try that for me?
Allazi.
Excellent. And we're just going to go through these two words here. So again, on all of these letters, apart from this one, which has a sukoon, all of these, what stroke do they have on top of them?
Fatah.
Excellent. And how many seconds on a basic fatha stroke?
1.
1 second. Well done. So when you're joining these together, khalaqa sab'a. Khalaqa, 1 second each on each of the letters. Khalaqa, and then sab'a. So the sin and the ain, just 1 second. Sab'a. Khalaqa sab'a. Can you try that for me?
Khalaqa sab'a.
Excellent. Can you try from alladhi until the end of the line?
Allazi khalaqa sab'a.
Well done. And over here, how long are we holding this sound for?
2 seconds.
2 seconds. Well done. Because we have here a ya madda, and the reason we know it's a ya madda is because the letter before has the kasra. Okay, well done. Coming to the next line. So we had again over here a little bit too long on the ta and the qaf. So ma tara. Okay, so ma here. Why are we reading it for 2 seconds?
Because there's a alif.
Excellent. It's alif madda, and we know it's an alif madda because the letter before has got the fatha on it. So ma, and then ta has just got the which stroke? This one here.
Fatah.
Excellent. And how many seconds on just a fatha?
1.
1 second. Brilliant. So ma tara. So again, just be careful of not reading it too long. No more than 1 second on the fatha. Again, the same here. Khalki. The reason I highlighted it was just to revisit how to join these. So we have the qaf, and it's got the stroke of kasra underneath it, and we're going to join it to this ra, which has a shadda. So we're going to put extra emphasis on this ra when we join it. So khalqir rahmani, qir rahmani. We want extra emphasis because of this shadda. Can you try to join this word for me, please?
Khalqir Rahmani.
Excellent, well done. Khalqir Rahmani. Again, the noon here and the dhamma on the waw. I think you were struggling reading this letter, but this one is a waw. So this noon was a little bit longer than 1 second. So fi khalqir Rahmani. The only thing we're prolonging is this meme because it's got the vertical fatha. Otherwise, it's going to be 1 second each. And over here, tafawut. So again, we're going to look at how to pause properly, but this ta is going to take a sukoon when we pause. So tafawut, this is the letter waw with a dhamma. Okay, could you just read this word for me?
Tafawut.
Excellent, tafawut, well done. And over here again, can you read from fa up until the surah over here?
Faraj rajul labzar.
Okay, almost there. So this fa, it's got a fatha stroke, and we're joining it to this ra. So the sound is going to be far. Can you say that for me? Far.
Far.
Far. I think you're getting confused because there's an alif there, but we are joining this fa with this ra sakin. So it's going to be far. And what you see here, this is the jim and the ain. And again, I think this alif might be confusing you a bit, but what we're doing is we're joining this ain with a kasra, with this lam with a sukoon. So when we join it all together, it will be farji'il. Can you read that for me?
Farji'il.
Farji'il. Well done. And again, all of these have 1 second fatha. Farji'il basara. Read that for me.
Farji'il asara.
Farji'il basara.
Farji'il asara.
Well done. And again, just over here, the ta was a little bit longer than 1 second, and the fa as well. was a little bit too long. So the way that we read this is هل ترى من فطور. Can you try that for me?
هل ترى من فطور.
Excellent, well done. Min futur. Okay, well done, Jazakillah. So you are, what's your ID again? Just remind me.
96134.
N6134. Okay, perfect, Jazakillah. So just work on those few points that I've highlighted for yourself and the student before. It's really, really important, and I'd stress this to parents as well, to really focus on getting the prolongation right, right from the first stroke. So the very first lesson that we covered of Fatha, Dhamma and Kasra, really, really important to make sure it's not longer than just 1 second. And then after that, I think generally students are quite good at recognizing the madda letters and the lean letters. Even if they don't know the correct terms, they're quite good at being able to prolong it when they're reciting. So I'm more concerned with how much time is being given to the basic strokes. So please, in your daily recitation, which you should inshallah all be doing, please put special attention on this and make sure that these strokes of Fatha, Dhamma and Kasra, these are all prolonged only for 1 second. And then after that, focus on your madda letters and your lean letters. So very quick summary. We have done Fatha, Dhamma and Kasra, 1 second each. We've also covered the vertical Fatha, 2 seconds, vertical Kasra, 2 seconds, inverse Dhamma, 2 seconds. So that's rules 4, 5, and 6. And we have just done today, we've looked at the madda letters. So alif madda, waw madda, and ya madda. And we've learnt to recognize them based on what comes before, what stroke comes on the letter before. Inshallah, tomorrow we'll be moving on to the next lesson. So in the meantime, please, in your usual Quranic recitation, please pay attention to what we've looked at so far. I would like one student from Atfal to raise their hand quickly so we can do our concluding prayer and end today's class. I think I've had, let's have a look. I've had A5104 and A5103. A5121, I've had you as well. Any other students from Atfal that I haven't picked, please? Let's see if I can find someone. Let's have A5113, I think. Assalamualaikum. A5113? Assalamualaikum. Can you help me then to recite this final prayer so we can end our class?
Yep.
Yep. Allahumma.
Allahumma arhamni bil
Qur'anil.
Qur'ani Allahumma azim.
Well done. And the next line? Waja'alhu.
Waja'alhu li
Imaman wa
nuran wa hudan rahmatan.
Yeah, so if we're pausing, we'll just read it as Hudan wa Rahmah. Okay? Rahmah at the end. And can you read the translation for me as well?
Oh Allah, have great mercy on me with the great Quran. And make it for me the leader, the light, the guidance, and the mercy.
Excellent, Jazakallah. So Jazakumullah everyone for attending today's class, and inshallah I will see you in the next class tomorrow at 7 p.m. So Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.